Yes. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys had a fantastic evening and a fantastic night's rest. Ooh, I did not. I had a very restless night. It was very rough, unfortunately. But it is what it is, it happens. It happens. Yeah, in the meantime, though, hopefully you guys had a better one. I had some taquitos? What are they called? I forget what they're called. I had that and some breakfast variants, and I had some applesauce. Real nice and tasty. Oh, well. Yes. Yes. Good. Mmm. Good. But yeah. Had to go to the bathroom right before the stream started. Like 10:50 or sorry, 9:58. My stomach went like, oh, okay, well. Unfortunate. Unfortunate timing. Yep. Absolutely. Anyways. Yeah, let's get into the starting talks of it. There's a lot of things I need to nail down. I was humming and hawing how much I wanted to take from World of Darkness, right? And so I am going to take the auspices, but they're not going to be called auspices, they're just going to be called casts. I'm going to keep a similar thing because it's too... The stuff makes too much sense the way it's laid out. Like, again, it's a logical layout thing. The only one that isn't is the Theurge, which is the crescent moon. And I'm debating on how I would want to word that, because it becomes like, why is it? I need to do some research on crescent moons, like what their associations are and everything. If their associations genuinely are mysteries and portents and, you know, peering into the other side, then yeah, Theurge makes way more sense. You know what I mean? Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Today we're just basically going to talk about it and everything. I need to discuss all the stuff. I also need to put down the enemy tribes and get that down into thoughts. So, in Werewolf the Apocalypse, the enemy all revolve around the worm and the weaver to an extent, right? The worm's corruption, the worm taint, is what causes so many problems in the world. Here we don't have that, right? There isn't a metaphysical... excuse me. Or they're not... Here there isn't a metaphysical, like... there's not a metaphysical force that is doing all these things. I see Threadnoughts in his Kobold arc. Yeah. So you might be wondering, okay, so who are the Wolverine fighting? Well, they're fighting other Wolverine that are corrupted, but it's not through like worm taint or anything like that. It's through the pacts they make. The Wolverine that they fight, they have a catch-all term for them known as smilers, right? Ugh. And they call them smilers because every time that they've ever uncovered one, or they've ever fought one, or saw one, as far as any Wolverine has ever known, they always have this, like, twisted smile on their face. And it's because they're reveling in the terrible things that they do. Right? So, they're not all the same. Not all smilers are the same. But they are embodiments of the sins. Right? They are things that have compacted and contracted with demonic entities, which you can do and still be good, but it's a terrible risk, and the demons are going to try to twist and contort things, right? But they're ones that have basically given in to one of the various sins. So, like lust, for example, or gluttony, greed, things like that. Now, depending on how deep down in the sin they are, is how, like, much more demonic and monstrous they become. So something that's maybe only had a couple contracts will only be so corrupted. They'll definitely revel in the sin that they've chosen, but they won't be like they won't start to gain deformities and shit like that. Their mind still has a sanity to it, a twisted sanity, mind you, a logic that's a bit skewed, but it's still there. You can still talk with them, like the lust ones, for example. Okay, there is a company that is run by the Smilers, literally called Smiling Wolf Studios. Okay, a bit on the nose, but that's kind of a like tongue-in-cheek thing of the Smilers, like getting back at those that don't indulge in themselves. They make porn. But they make more they make more like risque and terrible porn, right? There's stuff is like they actually do have werewolf porn, but they try to make it look like it's a little fake, even though it's not. And, you know, good luck to whoever's on the receiving end during it. Because a lot of it might be snuff, a lot of it might be rape and everything like that. And that gets into, the deeper they go into lust, the more they become like a mindless, just have to rape things, right? We're talking about some of the enemies, Mishima, like what are the normal Wolverine fighting against? What do the wicked look like? And there are other shifters or Wolverines or people that have contracted with demonic entities and given in to those lusts. Given into those lusts, wow. Given into those sins. One of the sins being lust, and I was explaining like what lust is like. Yeah, so you'll have ones that are all about like sadism and masochism and everything. You have ones that are all about like murder and death and cannibalism, and like they're just really, really awful one. Right? Really, truly terrible. I have to explain what lust is because Chad is too pure. No, I'm just explaining like how dark the world is. Trust me, Chad ain't too pure. I know, you degenerates. I like that my model, I took a drink of my salt drink, my model freaked out and was like, yep, degenerates. Disgusting, vile. Put him on a cross. Okay. Well, let's get to the thing. Actually, the one Smiler faction that's the weirdest are those that indulge in their rage. Okay? Rage is a part of being Wolverine. It is Meraxus's gift slash burden that he places on them. Rage, when wielded properly, when it becomes wrath, when you wield it surgically, is an incredibly powerful tool. Okay? This model's trying to skip the internet. Quick, kill it with fire. Fire does work. Black dragons, right? Depends on the fire. Nice. Yeah, mine has imps, fiends, demons, devils. There's a bunch of them. Yeah. So, Meraxus's gift slash burden, because he made sure to emphasize that it was both, was to give them the capability to have wrath. Not just normal, like, oh, I'm a bit angry, right? It's much more like the World of Darkness version of rage. A lot of people that write for World of Darkness forget that rage isn't just anger. Rage is all of, like, the emotional states heightened to an extreme extent. So you have the anger in there as well, but there's intense joys and such like that all in it. It's the same thing here, only slightly different, in that it is much more about anger, but it is much more about, like, can you control it? If you can control it, it's an incredibly powerful tool. It could fuel you to ignore injuries, to repair said injuries, to keep fighting when you long ago should have had your night-night button flipped forever. You could sacrifice bits of it to power different boons and gifts and benefits. Like, there's all kinds of things that it can do. But the problem is you have to make sure you don't indulge in it. There are those that indulge in the rage, but for whatever reason there isn't really like a Smiler group about rage, which seems incredibly paradoxical. There are those that are incredibly violent and believe in wanton murder and death. They go on sprees and stuff, but there isn't like an associated thing with them. And that's because if we, minor spoilers, well, actually kind of major spoilers for the different book for His Majesty the Dragon. Go back here on page, where are we? 191 for now. It's gonna get, the page numbers are gonna get jumbled around, but page 191 for now. The vision in his left eye refocused, but not directly in front of him. Instead, it shifted and looked at the body of a fallen Dracoran. His dark red scales and black stripes stood out against the grass. Meraxus' breathing became hotter, to the point he felt he was spewing flames, and his left eye focused over each new body. Jorman, the footman, all the other dragons falling from the sky. His body rippled and the pain felt like a splitting headache. His hands came up to his skull, which pulsed and pounded as if it threatened to come open. His body shook and convulsed as he took in a deep breath and then let loose a violent and bloody roar. Blood splattering out from his mouth, scales cracking and flaking away from his body as the sheer force of the scream moved the very grass far beneath his beating wings. All eyes turned to face him, and an intense bloodlust surged forward. Kill them. Kill all of them. bathe in their blood screams and fear. Now, this is when Meraxes is undergoing what's known as the harrowing. It is the point when a mortal entity, or what is a mortal entity in, like, categorical sense, a non-divine entity, is ascending to become a divine entity. And it's called the harrowing because there's only two outcomes. There is no middle ground. You don't get to, like, fail and then try again. If you fail, it leads to oblivion. If you succeed, you've ascended. So, the way it actually gets mentioned here in the book, hang on a second, I'm pretty sure I have it. Okay, because that's all about the Battle of the Gods Fall. I know I have it here, hold on. Here's for Wrath. Okay. Ah, here it is. No, it's in the Choose to be Chosen. Yeah. No, there is no surviving it after. There is no. There's not even a single chance of surviving a failed harrowing. Ah, here we go. I'll read from right here. So, page 198. For now, I should say. Right? Meraxes sat in his throne, his energy gone and his mind in a long haze. Was there a room here? Why was he seated? These things he did not know, and so remained slumped in a stupor, staring into a nebulous void around him. He felt sore and tired all over, and his head pulsed every time he tried to think. His ear canals felt full of cotton, and he so desperately wanted to sleep. Yet there came a warmth that drew nearer, and he tried to turn his head to see what was causing it. A low, muffled voice could be heard. Little Meraxes, your body was not ready for this journey. He mustered his energy and spoke up, though his eyes began to close if the energy to speak was taking energy from elsewhere in his body. I feel like the last logs in a long burnt-out fire. As you should. You are now standing between the moments, the flickering of the candle's flame, the ticks and tocks of a clock. One leads to awakening, the other to oblivion. Are you the flickering of the candle, the burning of the wax, or are you the smoke drifting away into the darkness? Meraxes gasped as he tried to answer, and soon he forced his eyes open once more. The hazy outline of a large dragon stood before him. I cannot help you in this. You must find your own way through. You were too eager and your energy has left you. But that remains for you to decide. Who are you? What do you want? Why are you here? Where are you going? Only you can answer these questions. So who are you? The voice faded away. Holy shit. The voice faded away into the mists of the abyss. Meraxes tried to speak up, but he could do nothing but gasp and gurgle. No, there was more he could do, and thus he lowered his head and let himself slump forward and fall from the throne, sprawling onto the floor that must be there, his mind racing as the pain throbbed in his skull, yet he forced himself to concentrate, even as he felt he could come undone. Don't force yourself. Find what you most want to live for. Fedoris. Your mind is splitting. Focus. My Fedoris. Meraxes limply pressed his hands on the abyssal floor and started to push himself from it. His arms burned with the sensation of lactic acid, yet that meant they were there. He was there, pushing himself up from the floor. His earfins twitched as they caught new sounds in the distance, a soft chanting voice. It drew him onwards as he staggered to his feet, each feeling as if it was being forcefully pulled to the floor. Alright, there you go. There's a little bit of a thing, but that is part of the harrowing. Meraxes is lucky, and this gets into his philosophy of why good will triumph over evil, because evil is very self-serving, self-centered. Whereas good can reach out and branch out and make connections, even if not fully intended, even if you don't want to. Just by nature of being a decent person, you'll make those connections. It's not something you have to struggle with or work at. Alright. Yeah. So, Meraxes, while he was undergoing his, he let loose a part of himself that he didn't realize. And it was when he underwent that extreme murderous intent. That was all of the wrath, all of the hatred, all the angers boiled together and made manifest. And he released a terrible thing into the world. That is when he unfortunately created Zaramis. Now, Zaramis is literally like, he made himself that name, right? He did it as a way to poke fun at Meraxes. He just took Meraxes' name and jumbled it. Meraxes likes to do that when he hides, or when he, is taking on a guise. He'll make that name, right? He'll jumble his name up. Just because he finds it amusing. But Zaramis is Meraxes. It's just all of the darkest parts of him. Now, Meraxes eventually triumphs and casts Zaramis down. Meraxes gains proper control of the rage, the hatreds, and everything he feels. But in doing so, he has kind of splintered the way the demonic works. There is no, demonic legion of wrath. That would have been Zaramis. It would have been his dark reflection. Because there is no reflection of it, Meraxes still represents it. So Meraxes has the dubious honor of being in both the divine and the demonic. Which is fitting because he's a dragon. And dragons were the spokes of the wheel, basically. The spokes of all magic. They're what all magic radiates around. But it's why smilers for rage and wrath aren't really that much of a thing. Until you get to a super extreme, and then they usually go into pure frenzy killing sprees, right? There's not really like a Smiler variant of wrath, but ones of gluttony, of greed, of lust, like yes, absolutely, 100%. And keep in mind, just because they're a Smiler of a chosen sin does not mean they won't represent all the other sins either. You know, like they'll have all of the negative intentions and things. They're more susceptible to having multiple sins emerge from them. Multiple things they indulge in, right? Yeah, let's get into the actual preview from the Wolvarin book now. So put the Marax's book aside. Go to the Wolvarin book instead. Now this going back to Michael Wolff. Hey Grinus. This is going back to Michael Wolff and Jennifer Woods having their conversation. Oh, which also reminds me, I didn't say what William's last name was on stream. I put it in the Discord now. William's last name is William Lowell. And again, he has a very thematic name for good reason. Yeah, meaningful name. Meaningful name for a good reason. It's not that fancy pants of a name. No, I was thinking of doing Forster. Forst. Oh my God, how do you say it? Hold on. Hold on. It's hard to fucking say because it's German. Forstner. Oh my God. Yeah, no. And then I decided trying to say William Forstner was like, no. No. I have no idea who Lowell is. Nope. Yeah, no. His name is William Lowell. Again, it is a meaningful name for a reason. Both of his first name and his last name are meaningful. All right. So here we go back to Michael Wolff with two F's, or as she keeps poking fun at him. As she keeps poking fun at him, look, Mr. Wolf with one F. And Jennifer Woods. Well, firstly, you need to show a bit of grace that I'm letting you live at all. Secondly, I will teach you when I feel like it. I already feel me anger and spite filling up, and I'd rather like this bit of work. So the fables are true about werewolves having incredible rage and fury? In a sense, it'd be true. No, sorry, whoops, I read that fucking wrong. In a sense, it'd be true that we all experience anger. Some express it as a deep resentment for others not like us. It's a powerful tool, though, a burden placed on us by Meraxes himself. Wait, you wolves believe in Meraxes? I thought that was just a dragon thing. Or, you know, those allied with dragons. Our people are one of them. We are charged by Meraxes to defend nature, the spirits, and the natural order. The wrath we feel can be an incredible tool when wielded with precision and through discipline, but can lead to incredible self-destruction as some wallow in the thrill of it. So, Meraxes is real? Like, I always just thought he was, you know, just an ideal or one of those phantom deities used to keep people, or, well, dragons in line. Nay, he be real, right? I only seen a glimpse of his avatar once. He descended to speak with Haderix and our honored elders. 'Tis was at the end of the war, about 11 years back. He laid out everything that was happening and how 'tis war had shifted the world. Then he laid out the choice to be made. Sink or swim. Are we but the weak expecting the strong to come save the day? Or will we prove to be the strong that bring down the wicked? He offers guidance and a bit of aid. Yeah. Man, it's hard to do this accent. He offers guidance and a bit of aid, but he will nae do all the work for us. I never understood that. Doesn't it seem so callous? Well, I guess I don't know what his teachings truly are. He isn't really taught much for, well, humans. Don't really learn much of the other religions unless they seek them out. Maybe that will be your first lesson proper. To understand us, my people, you need to understand the teachings by which we live and die. Jennifer nodded her head and slowly leaned back against a nearby wall, getting comfortable before she waited for him to continue. Michael, on the other hand, took a deep breath and then thought about his words carefully for a time. He wasn't a preacher or even all that well versed in everything. He lived and the things he saw were true, and thus when Meraxus, the dragon god of dragons, descended and spoke, it had cemented the ideals in his mind. Well, first, let me tell ye about the trifecta, the idea of three beings making up the entirety of existence. Not on some philosophical level, but on a deeper personal level. There are three types of people in the world. Same with every species and race. Oh my god. The weak, the wicked, the strong. In traditional fables and lores, ideals of heroism and nobility, the strong are charged to defend the weak from the wicked. Meraxus teaches that this is in fact a shackled existence, forcing those with strength to obey and adhere to the mulings of the weak, because the weak fear them. It is entitlement, encouraging laziness on the part of the weak, because someone else will come and save the day. In reality, the strong are charged to destroy and thwart the wicked in all things, to be the crusaders that bring down evil. In so doing, the burden on the weak is lessened. Yet all too easily the strong can become the wicked, when they allow their strength to consume them and turn to cruelty and gluttony against the weak. The weak, though, can choose to become strong, just from that choice and wishing to stand for themselves. Such should be encouraged. Does that make sense? Michael was unsure if he had explained it properly. He was no priest, just a simple Wolverine who did his best to stand along and help combat the wicked of the world. Hello. I don't know if you are to not protect the... I don't know. Oh. I forgot. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I don't know. If you're to not protect the weak, are the spirits weak? Or what about nature? Should they not look after themselves? Ah, yes. Seems a contradiction, don't it? But this is more like ensuring we all have air to breathe, that the world keeps turning. The natural world and spirits are a part of existence. We wouldn't decide to spurn all oxygen in the air simply because the air can't defend itself. Ugh. It would be a madness to allow someone to fill our lungs with poisons or suffocate us and our loved ones. The spirits, though you may nae have seen any, are tied to existence itself. Each one with will is its own being. My God, this is hard to... It's hard to do with this accent, chat. It's very hard to do with this accent. They can offer wisdoms and teachings. Their strength comes in their direct ties between this world and that of the divine. Through choosing to protect them, we offer payment for their wisdom, and thus can utilize the boons they teach. I mean, yes, Scottish is hard accent to keep up. I wish I was born Scottish. It would be so much easier. You're right, wee fecker. Jennifer mulled things over a bit, trying to understand his point of view. It just seemed too self-aggrandizing to her mind. Surely a chivalrous knight was better than being a rampaging crusader. She did have to admit, though, this was her first real chance at even trying to comprehend the philosophy, and so she just waved a hand. I get some of it. I just feel like the strong should protect the weak. What if someone that is strong does that anyways? Well, if they are strong, that is their earned right to do. The difference is it being a choice to defend those who don't defend themselves, and it being some sort of mandated obligation that you must defend them. So, in essence, the strong can do as they will because they are strong? Might makes right? In a manner of speaking, yes. This is part of the teachings. You shan't let the idea that your own strength gives you excuse to become a butcher, a rapist, or any manner of the wicked. Being strong isn't just in the strength of one's arm. It's your will, your cunning, your discipline. What about me? Would I not be considered weak? Well, again, in a manner of speaking. Yet you said you carried around a taser and some spray. You already are choosing to take some responsibility for yourself. You aren't relying that everything will be solved by someone stronger than ye are now. It's funny. My brother is the one that started making me think about carrying those. He always told me, when every single second counts, help is always minutes away. Well, your brother is a smart lad then. Now, I must beg pardon. I cannot stay here and chat with you all eve. I need to get back out on patrol. But I am taking a big risk on you here. Do not make me a fool. I swear to ye right here and now, I will protect my people with all the ferocity I can muster. I understand, Mr. Wolf with one F. Jennifer smiled at the ranger, who simply sighed and then slowly left the office, though called back as he did so. Feel free to sleep in the break room. Has a nice sofa to relax on. I'll be back in a few hours to check on you. There you go. There's your preview. Yeah, fuck chivalry. Deus Vult till the deed is done. Yeah. Again, it's a different ideal, right? Because a lot of the more noble ideals, a lot of the ideas of what you think of as a traditional hero or traditional good guys, are those that will jump in front of a bullet to protect, like, the mother, right? Marax's point is that if the strong choose to do that, they've earned that right because they are strong, because they are willing to stand up and take the responsibilities, take the obligations, take the risk. They're allowed to make that judgment call. What Maraxis hates more than anything are the weak. The weak that say, oh, you must protect me. Don't you want to be a good person? Aren't you supposed to be a hero? No, fuck those people. No, fuck you. You're just being an entitled little arrogant shithead. You just want to be lazy. You want everything to come your way. You want to be handed everything to you. It's the same reason why Maraxis doesn't directly interfere as much as he possibly can. If another god gets involved, Maraxis steps in and is like, alright, you fucked around. You're about to find out. But he wants his followers to help themselves. He offers aid and boons and gifts and advice to those that prove that they don't need him as much. Because they prove they're not lazy. They're not just expecting handouts. They don't walk around a temple all day with a silver bowl just expecting people to give them things. That's the same thing that, like, Meraxis is. He's like, if you come to me, if you come and worship me, and you expect me to do everything for you, you've severely misunderstood what I believe in. What faith in me actually is. I am there for those who are strong, but find an obstacle their strength cannot yet overcome. I am there for those people. I am not there for the people who are like, oh, I leave it all in your hands. I won't do anything. Oh, I've been injured. Oh, I'll let you heal it for me. I won't take care of the wound or anything. He's not there for those people. You're just being fucking lazy and expecting the god to do all the work for you, right? Meraxis can't stand those people. Yes. It's same thing like in an old Warhammer Fantasy. I don't know about the old world. I haven't played. I've heard nothing but bad things about the old world revival. But it's like an old Warhammer Fantasy. Sigmar helps those who help themselves. And a lot of people who don't think about it, they only think about surface level stuff. They're like, wow, he's a really shitty god. He's like, no. Sigmar wants you to prove like, hey, I will stand up and I will fight for myself. I will protect myself. I will protect my loved ones. Sigmar gives those people strength. Because those are men and women of character. Those are men and women who are ready and willing to take responsibility. So they can be more readily charged with being responsible when given a gift from the divine. Yeah. Such play the intro cinematic from Mark of Chaos. Dude, that is such a good fucking intro, isn't it? Holy shit. Shame the game was so goofy. But it's a good fucking intro. Yeah, essentially that's what Meraxis wants. Meraxis also believes in the same thing. Again, it's the same thing that I always tell people, right? Stop looking at the end destination. Stop thinking about where you have to be at the end. Just focus on taking another step forward. That's all you gotta do. Don't think about how you need to have a 6-pack or an 8-pack and, you need to be ready by this, then. No. Don't do that. Because all you're going to do is build a wall in front of you that's going to give you reasons not to do it. Just take a step forward. Do a single thing. Lift weights for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. The next day, lift weights for 10 minutes. And then 10 minutes. Oh, that feels okay. Let's do 15 minutes. You're slowly incrementing, slowly building off of it. Yeah. It's also why Meraxis has a complex relationship with what is good and what is evil, right? What he considers the wicked. Like, he believes in pragmatism in things. It's why Meraxis doesn't shun people from, like, making contracts with demons. If you're clever enough, if you're smart enough, if your will is strong enough and your discipline is good enough, you can turn the tools of the enemy against them. The enemy is an unthinking, undisciplined, self-interested monster. Okay? Are you better than that? Well, if you are better than that, can you turn their own tools against them? Now, he doesn't actively tell them, like, no, yeah, go make contracts with demons. He's like, no, don't do that. But if you do, he's not going to shun you for it. It's how you utilize it, how you use it. This comes from his whole stance of, like, people get misconceptions about magic, right? Healing magic, for example. Almost everybody, every media, every form of it, always treats healing magic or light magics and things like that as if they're inherently noble and good. They're not. They're just a tool. It's how you use them. For example, the sadistic smilers, the ones that take pleasure and joy from causing pain and suffering, who feel ecstatic, exuberant, like orgasmic feelings when they shift between bodies because it's an incredibly painful process. The very first thing that these smilers of sadism, these smilers of pain, indulge in, their very first gifts they learn, the spirit magics they learn, are healing. And that isn't just to heal themselves. No, it's to heal their victims. So the suffering can go on and on and on. So when they flay somebody alive, they can channel healing magics into them to keep the person alive through the entire process. Like, again, healing magics aren't inherently good. Magic in and of itself isn't inherently good or evil, right? It's a tool. It's how you wield it. It's the same thing with, like, firearms in the real world. There is not a single inherently evil firearm out there. They're all tools. Now, are there poorly made firearms that can go off if you drop them? Sig. Sure, absolutely. Or the infamous Nambu pistol from World War II the Japanese had, where if you touched the side of it, it would go off. Yeah, absolutely. That's fucking terrible design. But again, it's a tool. And magic is the same way, right? I don't know. The Zip 22 is pretty evil. That's not evil. That's incompetent design. That's not an inherently evil thing. The Zip 22 is just an object that exists. Its design is the stupidest thing you've ever seen on the planet and makes not a lick of fucking sense. Oh my god, the Zip 22. Holy shit. Oh no, yeah, you can do all kinds of things. Again, healing magics, when wielded in a terrible way, you could give somebody cancer. You're literally just initiating growth and regeneration in the body. Well, I'm going to give them growth and regeneration in their body. I'm going to give them cancers. I'm going to give them blood clots and everything. Again, healing magic isn't inherently good. It just is. There's a lot of single shot 9mm. There's all different kinds of them. There's ones where you actually have to, like, it's a bolt action pistol 9mm. Oh my god. Okay, people are gonna think, like, when I say bolt, I mean like the whole lever and thing like that. No. It was the well rod. Right? Was a bolt action pistol. Hold on. I think it was the well rod. Yes. I am correct. So this is to make it more clear. Let me open that super low fucking resolution image. This is an assassin pistol, right? I know it's not technically, it's not an assassin pistol, but you know what I mean? It's a fucking integrally suppressed pistol. Okay? It's a bolt action. Right? Oh man, I don't know that Grindus. There are so many wacky pistol designs. This is one of them, right? This is your trigger, by the way. This is the grip safety. This is the bolt. Like, it just looks like a knob. You literally turn it, pull it back, push it back forward, and turn it again to get the next round in. Okay? It's actually a bolt. It is 100% a bolt. It just doesn't look like a traditional bolt. Okay, it's called the Altor. Well, let's look at this. Altor pistol. Oh my god. Yeah, that is one of the pistols of all time. Oh my god, and somebody put it next to the Zip 22. Oh. That's incredible. That's incredible. That does look like a glue gun, doesn't it? That is not an Altor. No, that's not. It's literally Zip 22. It's right there. What are you doing, Images? What are you doing? That's incorrect. That's incorrect. Thank you very much. My old favorites are the old Derringers. Hold on a second. Derringer pistol. These things are funny. Little bitty pistols. These were the purse pistols, right? For the females, the womans. You had these little bitty pistols. Now, is it only 22? Yeah, sure. But if you hit somebody between the eyes with a 22, that's the night-night button. Getting hit with a 22 still fucking hurts. It doesn't magically not hurt because it's only 22. No, you want to know the most terrifying? Hang on, wait. What is it? The duck bill pistol? Look at this thing. This thing is a fucking nightmare. This pistol. Like, what the shit? What the shit? Okay, it's called the duck's foot. My apologies. Not duck bill, duck foot. Yeah. Welcome. Welcome to fucking nightmare pistols. There was a worse one, which was a rotary pistol. Oh, what was it called? So there was you had a magazine. Rotary pistol. No, not rotating barrel. It was an old pistol that had a cylinder like this, but it wasn't this shape. This is a normal, like, what you would expect for a revolver cylinder. No, it was on its side. It was a terrible, terrible design because no matter where you aimed the pistol, was it called the turret revolver? Hold on a second. Hold on. Yes! This massive piece of shit. No matter where you aimed this pistol, you always had pistol barrels aiming at you. And remember, all of these things fire from near the same spot. If you accidentally have a chain detonation in this thing, good luck. A huge piece of shit. This pistol was, like, wildly not safe. Oh my god. Man, now I want to indulge in one of my favorites, though. One of my favorite pistols. Okay, this pistol is funny, too. Hold on. This pistol right here, hilarious. Because this is the pistol they use in the game of Clue. What did him in? Oh, she did it with the pistol. One where she basically had a mini shotgun. Okay, but no. What I think is one of the coolest pistols is this. Wheel lock pistols. These things are so fucking neat. This was a methodology for trying to, these were a methodology to try and overcome the inherent flaws of flintlock, right? Flintlock pistols wouldn't always trigger properly. But a wheel lock pistol, you would wind it and then would release it and it would always fire. Always. Because it was like, it was a grinding wheel. It wasn't just a single bit of flint scraping across the paddle to get a spark. No, it was a grinding wheel that just went like, woo! Really neat fucking pistols. Really impractical. You know, especially once they got breech loading pistols and everything like that. But it was a really, really cool fucking pistol. Really cool design. Look at this thing, see? The winding spanner. The wheel. I said, it was genuinely neat. Right? A genuinely neat pistol. As you can see, they look... A lot of them look really fucking fancy, too. Like, these were back when things were, you know, art. Look at that. Look at that little dragon head. Actual fucking art. My favorite... Hang on. You want to see my favorite... you want to see my favorite flintlock pistol? Look at this beauty. Look at this beauty. My favorite flintlock pistols, hands down. It's not too eccentric. They didn't go all out with it or anything. It just looks good. This pistol just looks good. And I like the subtle sweep back it has. I love the Prussian cavalry pistol. Fucking love it. It is just... It just looks... Mwah. Chat, come on. Come on, chat. You have to agree with me. You have to agree with me here or I'm executing all of you. That pistol is gorgeous. And again, it's just got a good barrel length, too. You know what I mean? It's not the comically long, but it just looks right. This just looks so fucking good. Very nice, I agree. Good, you get to live another day, Grinus. Yes, yes, it's a nice. Congratulations, you get to live. Oh, flintlock pistols can get wild looking. Hang on. Oh, the ones I don't like... The ones I really don't like are the ones that have a super fucking... It's basically like a straight stick. Or they have what I think are the worst handles, which are the pistol grip handles. Oh my god. Oh, shit like this. Hang on. This right here. Do not like. Do not like. This grip. Oh. Because these things are fucking heavy, too. They are not comfortable to use a pistol that's like this. Nambu sword pistol, please? Oh, no. Oh, yeah. God, it's so bad. Yep. Flintlock pistols go in 3 flavors: stick, simple elegance, and works of art. Oh yeah, 100%. Like, look at these things. Just look down the list here, right? And we're not talking about the fucking flintlock axe. All right, that's its own thing. These pistol grips, I hate this pistol grip. This one's a bit better, but you get ones that are like so straight down. It's just like, oh man, imagine trying to hold that. Like this is awful. Oh. Ugh. No. No, 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 no. A nice elegant curve is what I like. Elegant curves. Yeah, and then they made the trapdoor. Once they started doing breech loading pistols and stuff, it's really fucking good. Yep. Unironically, that's why they would have the stock like this. This is what created the butt stroke. Right? That's why you would have a cap here on the end of these, so you could flip it around and you could use it as a club to crack somebody in the fucking head with it. Ew. Ew. Oh, it's a video game. No wonder. Hey, Dimitri. You missed us talking about the previews and everything, and we were talking about some of the stuff, and now we got onto a whole side thing about, like, good-looking firearms. And my favorite pistol of all time, my favorite flintlock of all time, is the Prussian cavalry flintlock. So here, I'll show that again. Whoops. This thing. This absolute fucking beauty of a pistol. I love it. Doing a little DM for D&D. My friend asked me for a flintlock and I really fucked it up with the damage numbers. How'd you fuck it up with the damage numbers? Like, the flintlock should do really good damage. You should just have, like, to take an entire turn, an entire round to reload the thing. Oh, he wasn't using enough powder, eh? There's a reason the powder horns are designed the way they are. So you get the exact amount of powder you need, so you keep a consistency thing going. But you want to know what... you want to know what made people really get into flintlocks and everything? There's one movie. Everybody knows what movie made people, like, jump to get There's one. Grindus knows it immediately. The one thing that made everybody like, I want a flintlock. They just sound good too. The Patriot really did do a great sound effects work on that. The fucking flintlock pistol, or sorry, the flintlocks in the Patriot just sounded nice and meaty, you know? Oh yeah, no, it's very inaccurate, which is weird because they also have like really good accuracies in it too. It's this is a super like comical farce of a movie when it comes to historical accuracy or things like that. But then they also have weird things where there are moments of really good accuracy, like the fact that the cannonballs bounce, and it's that even them rolling on the ground like takes people's legs off and feet off and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, cannonballs are fucking scary. It wasn't that if you got hit directly by it, like, sure, that's bad. But the thing bouncing around, hitting a rock, or like going off in a weird angle and shit like that, oh my god. It's fucking wild. Oh yeah, no, historical accuracy aside, like the British did do some terrible things, but that's cartoonishly evil, you know? Oh, they committed all kinds of war crimes. But there's a difference between like that is a level of like pure, genuine evil that any good upstanding British gentleman would look at and be like, "No, I'm sorry. No, fuck no. What the fuck? No." No. Pew. Right. So to remaster, thanks of buying the System Shock remake out of 600 Argentinian pesos. I should do this system. There's a System Shock 2 remaster? Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know there's a System Shock 2 remaster already. Morning, Rapar. We're talking about the books and stuff. The books. Oh, we've got a few of them. So, we were talking about... I did a little bit of a reading from His Majesty the Dragon. That's the book that's 500 pages in now. Now we were talking about the new one I'm writing as well, which is tied into it. They are linked in the same settings and everything. But it is known as Guardians of Nature, and it's about the Wolvarren, a.k.a. werewolves. But not normal traditional werewolves. There are normal traditional werewolves in it, though, but those are the ones that are curse-afflicted, not the ones that are true-born Wolvarren. Yep. Oh no, I'm writing... There are currently 7 books in the works. His Majesty the Dragon is the furthest along because it's 500 pages. But this new one here, which also ties into His Majesty the Dragon, is we are 27 pages in on this one now. And I've just been doing previews of it. And we were talking about, like, what makes these werewolves different and everything like that. They are borrowing pretty heavily from World of Darkness, but I'm taking aspects that World of Darkness is now abandoned. and changing things around and stuff. Like also explaining um, why werewolves would hate vampires so much. It's because werewolves are charged to defend the natural order and nature, and being a thing that's undead and like refuses to just stay fucking dead is a bit of a blight against the natural order. Vampires also can walk out in the sunlight. They just get incredibly weak in comparison. They become more feeble and frail than a normal person. But they can do it if they have to. It just is not pleasant. They don't want to. Also, the vampires can embrace more, and it does get weaker because it's a dilution of things, right? But you can become a progenitor vampire if you understand the different blood rites and rituals and things like that needed. It's the same thing with like how do you become a lich, stuff like that, right? It's different methodology. It's all chasing immortality, which remember, Cordysoth knows immortality. He is the only other being in all of reality in the multiverse, in the Sakara multiverse, that has achieved immortality. And he didn't want to. He didn't want to. It was foisted upon him through a series of unlikely events that caused his connection to Forge and then become unbreakable with Severus. And he gets to experience, and he knows being immortal fucking sucks, right? Sakara, it all depends because it's multiversal. For example, His Majesty the Dragon is more of like a medieval fantasy setting, right? Sakara goes through the ages. The Sakara itself, Cordysoth Sakara, goes through the ages, and then has the reset hit, which is when the apocalypse comes. The Wolvarin book here, Guardians of Nature, takes place in more of like a contemporary setting. Only this is a contemporary setting that's had multiple wars, multiple world wars. So this is their 5th world war that they've just come out of. And it's because there are so many other races and everything. Because there's not like a homogenous group. There's not like, oh, humans are the top of the food chain, so you're dealing with humans, so you can always deal with humans. No. It's humans, dwarves, elves, halflings, the kobolds, who are known as Dracmolkine in this setting, and then the Dracane, who are basically like bipedal dragons, and you have the dragons and everything. Like, there's too much difference, and they cause conflicts a lot. The Wolvarin are tasked with Meraxes, who is the Drakrod Var Dracorin, aka the Dragon God of Dragons. He charges the Wolvarin, werewolves, to be the guardians of nature, protectors of the spirits, and of the natural order. And for these duties, he gifted them the boon and burden of wrath. Oh yeah, and again, Cordysoth has gone through horrible, horrible things, right? Terrible, truly terrible things. So one of the viewpoints, so we have 3 viewpoint characters for now. There's going to be a 4th one that's going to be added here soon, which is basically it's a man, woman, right? Well, air quotes on that. But you have Michael Wolf with 2 Fs, who is the park ranger. You have Jennifer Woods, who is the furry. Not a werewolf. She's not a werewolf. No, she is actually a furry. That is part of her characterization in this, and actually part of, like, her being enthusiastic and everything, right? Stream labeled as WoW? What? What? The fuck? I don't even play WoW. I didn't say Worgen. What? Whatever. Alright. Anyways. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. She is, so because of her fantasies and everything like that, she's much more willing to listen to the wolf side of things. Which, you know, Michael, like, agrees, like, okay, sure, I guess that is, you know, something. So how are furries viewed in this world? Like an acceptable vice? No, a bunch of weirdos. Bunch of degenerate weirdos. But as Michael Wolff says, he feels kind of like a hypocrite for telling her that she shouldn't, you know, like, ugh, you're weird because you're attracted to wolves, especially wolfmen. Meanwhile, he is a werewolf, a full-on true-blooded werewolf, and he's just like, I don't like this feeling. I feel like I'm a hypocrite. I feel like I'm kind of a hypocrite in this moment. But again, the whole thing is that they're trying to maintain a veil, right? A veil of secrecy. But she finds out who he is. Again, I've already posted this before in the Discord, but we'll do this real quick. So her car gets damaged. Both tires on the driver's side. The front one has a catastrophic failure. It's down to the rubber and rims. It's really fucking bad, right? Now you have the rear tire, which also suffered a catastrophic leak, but at least it's still there. So they realize, hey, we're not going to be able to do, you know, anything. It's not keeping air, stuff like that. Michael Wolff has helped her. He's a park ranger that has just come across her. By the way, this takes place in a country known as the Republic. I don't know what to name it properly, but it is a republic, and a true republic at that, by the way. But it has a lot of darkness in it. Like the other Viewpoint character, William Lowell, he works for an organization known as the NDA. Again, done intentionally. Their entire thing is obfuscation through intention. And it's become kind of a running joke with the NDA that it's like, oh, who do you work for? Like, where'd you get that from? Or who do you work for? Oh, the NDA, you know, so I can't tell you. Just because they're playing on the joke of, you know, non-disclosure agreements. But yeah, it is the National Defense Agency. They're kind of the ones in charge of, like, black sites and government operations to try to maintain the civil populace and defend people. Because there are things that go bump in the night. And they know there are things that go bump in the night. It's not really like dragons exist in this world, right? You have zombies exist in this world. Now, zombies aren't in the traditional sense. They don't bite somebody and then they become a zombie. No, it's necromantic energies that can make a corpse reanimate itself. You have skeletons that exist in this world. And I actually mean like walking, talking skeletons, right? No, this is a true blue republic. But yeah. Mhm. So like their whole thing. Let me give this preview. Let me like clarify this preview real quick. Their whole thing for like designations of categories are done specifically to be incredibly like boring. Because if people find these documentations and everything, what the fuck does this mean? Well, that's dull. I'll keep moving on. They don't spell out like a blood-sucking fucking vampire. They don't do that. But here's all about their obfuscation, right? So William Lowell leads a team, a cleanup crew, to retake a black site that has gone dark. And they find out that like everybody inside the black site is dead as far as they know. There are body parts everywhere. There's blood and gore and like bullet casings left everywhere. It's something really bad happened here. So he pulls up paperwork. He's trying to piece things together. They've secured the site. They know there's nothing else in here with them. So now they're in the like investigating, trying to figure things out, trying to put the pieces together. Cell 221. A common trick to play on inmates to make them misjudge the size of an outpost as being far larger than they could possibly handle. In truth, the place had 10 cells, starting from 221 up to 230. Even so, it was effective at keeping people pacified in their internment at these outposts until they could be transferred properly to larger facilities. Once more, he brushed the knowledge back and returned to his reading. Cell 221, female, 5 foot 7 inches, black hair, red eyes, 135 pounds, emaciated frame. Beside the designation was a picture of a woman who seemed to be scowling intensely at the camera. Beneath said picture in red lettering was the designation Victor 6 Oscar. William tilted his head some and closed his eyes as he tried to go over the designation schemes used by the NDA for internal threat assessments. They were always presented as mundane code with numerology to make it appear as boring as possible. He thought carefully and went through the various codes, jumping around as they came fresh to his mind, to allow kernels to lead him to the truth. Mayday 1 Theta. A mage with arcane capabilities proven to be a threat, an incredible rarity in this world. Delta 3 Romeo. Delta for Walking Dead, 3 to note it was a corpse and not a skeletal one, with Romeo acting as a designation that it was regal, thus well maintained and stronger than normal. Sadly, unlike mages, these were not as uncommon as they should be, and if William had his way, they would be permanently extinct. It then dawned on him, and he looked at the paperwork carefully again, and then got up and went to go check the cell. He held the papers in one hand as he crouched down and looked through the bones left behind and found the skull. It had 2 sharpened teeth acting as fangs, and then he realized it. Victor 6 was the designation for humanoid with vampiric capabilities. A full-on fucking vampire was here. Vampiric designation had more than one category, but Victor 6's were actual vampires, ones from the stories and fables. They had not been an interest of Will's in the past beyond an intense hatred of their mere existence. Here, though, he had to wrestle with the strange feeling that he had a confirmed, at least to him, vampire that had been torn to shreds. It was an odd sensation, the wonder of discovering another thing that would haunt the nights, while also the intense joy he felt at knowing it was dead. Sure, he had been told vampires exist, but even so, given the sheer absurdity of the world and the way agencies kept secrets, it very well could have been a ruse or just some prank to play on the fucking new guy. Perhaps he was gonna have to pay more attention to the briefings on them now. One thing that did stand out to his mind was that vampires could walk amongst the living in the day, but were incredibly weakened. Yet with this curiosity now sated, he turned the page to look for who the other resident would be. Cell 230, male, 5 foot 9 inches, blonde hair, blue eyes, 195 pounds, well muscled. Underneath the picture of a man who seemed to be smiling with a contented look was the designation Charlie Ate Whiskey. Again, he had to think through the designations a bit, for there were so many. For there were so many supernatural things in the world that sometimes the designations, while serving the purpose to confuse and dissuade outsiders, also confused agents. Through his memories, he focused intensely and then came up with the answer and tilted his head. Cursed humanoid. Wolf. Alright, so that is William Lowell on cleanup crew going through a black site. And again, part of the whole black site, mundane psychology and things like that, they always name the cells, and all the black sites are laid out the exact same way. That way, if they ever have to retake a black site, or they ever have to defend a black site, they know exactly where everything is. There's no fumble fucking around. They know exactly where the armory is. They know exactly where the prison section is. They know exactly where the interrogation rooms are, where the kitchen is. They know all of that stuff. There's no need for hesitancy. You know exactly, boom, 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 this is where we're going. So then your mind only has to worry about the small little things, like somebody put a crate here for whatever reason, right? You only have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about navigation whatsoever. You can muscle memory navigate through, and therefore you could dedicate all of your focus to, why is that crate there? I'm going to watch that crate as we move up to this, to here, to here, to here, get through the funnel, move. Right? And again, all of the black sites are laid out to be a single level, okay? Yeah, no, it is exploitable. But the whole point is that they're black sites. You're not supposed to know they exist, right? They made them this way so that they could retake them easier, right? You can't do much to, like, refortify a black site. Like, there's not a lot that you can do. There's not, like, choke points that are suddenly going to be different or wild. So that the cleanup teams, those that are on them, now, William Lowell isn't normally on cleanup team. He just happens to be a really good field agent. So they put him on the cleanup team for this black site so they could also have him there for the investigation immediately. Now, they do it so these cleanup crews can actually go through and do stuff like they do it, drill over and over and over again. Let's use magic. No. Remember, magic has very hardened rules, and magic is rare in this world. In other multiversal worlds, there's much more magics involved. Like in Mirax's world of Avalorn. Wait, Avalorn? No, that's not right. What? No, that's incorrect. What was the name of that planet now? I think it's Averil? Hold on. Hold on. Averol. Yes, it's Avarol. Fucking hell. Man, trying to keep all the different, like, you know, names of the cities and settlements and all that stuff together is wild, right? Okay. Anyways, yeah, so in Averol, there's a lot more magic in the world. In this setting, for Guardians of Nature, there isn't as much magic. At least, not that normal people are aware of. Because they don't understand the spirits. They don't understand the connection between the mundane world and the divine realm that are spirits. No, because they're built like boxes, right? They're built like shipping containers. The entirety thing around is like steel and rebar reinforced concrete and everything. They're very utilitarian. Now, again, mundane psychology, right? They all are a single floor. They're all small by design, and they are specifically laid out to give false impressions to people, right? If you get interred at a black site, it feels like you're in a massive facility. They're constantly playing like noise of like echoes and ricochets and things like that, and, like conversations happening just away from you. That stuff's being played for people that are there, right? Not for agents. When the black sites are on lockdown, when they get everybody back in their cells and everything like that, when they're no longer in interrogation rooms and stuff like that, when they have them in their cells, they don't need to play all that. They don't need to put on the fucking pomp and circumstance. That's your first introduction. Is first, it feels like it's a huge fucking facility. And they go out of their way to like over exaggerate that it's big, massive, huge. You're always in Wing Delta. Always in Delta. Okay? So all the doors talk about like Delta, blah, blah, blah. The prison cells, as I said, all start at prison cell 221. Which, again, you as a prisoner can tell, hey, there are 10 cells here. We have our own security checkpoint. 221. Fucking hell, there are that many cells here? How big is this facility? Right? It's all those subtle discouragements that, hey, this is a bigger task than you can handle. So just keep calm, sit in your cell, and look pretty. Now, part of this whole thing is that the NDA, being as secretive as it is, also has corruption in it. AKA, there are innocent people that get put into these black sites as well. Totally innocent people. Yeah. Exactly. It's described and it feels like it's a bigger facility when really it's a really, like, small thing. These black sites are supposed to have like 50 people working it. Right? They're not supposed to be a lot of people there. And it's so that you don't leave a big footprint. Because if you leave a large footprint, like, why are there so many shipments coming in here? It's one thing to have like a big semi-truck of food, like just randomly driving into the forest. It's another thing when there's just, a little work crew truck that's going in where it actually has a single pallet of food in the back. Big difference. Yeah. Here, the rules change depending on where you are in the multiverse. At the whims and dictates of Severus, right? He's the one that controls everything. Even the aspects, Cortisoth, Meraxis, and the Storyteller, who are all aspects of Severus, and thus are the deepest connection to him, they can only do so much. They have to get Big Severus's his say on things. Now, anyways, let me go back to Helpful Nature real quick. And we'll do this preview. This one I've already put in the Discord, but we'll do it here now as well for Pendikar Mando, who's here. And this will also go into my talks about what Wolverine are and the differences between everything. Because there's Curse of the Wolverine and there's normal Wolverine. Hang on, let me take a drink of water. My throat got real dry. Right. Given the conversations, the trip didn't seem so long, and the truck eventually pulled into the visitor center. It was still dark at night, many hours before the center would be open to the public, but Michael offered to let her come in and crash on a sofa. In the morning, she would call a tire company to come out and swap out her tire, and in the meantime, she could go and excuse me. Or we're doing another preview, Pendekar. In the morning, she would call a tire company to come out and swap out her tire. And in the meantime, she could go and visit the wolves until they arrived. Michael finished unhooking the car and then, with Jennifer steering, helped push it into a parking spot. Right, lass. I can't offer nothing for food, save what you can get from the vending machines, but feel free to get comfy. I'll radio to the others and let them know what happened proper. Jennifer smiled at him and gave a nod before she retrieved the makeup kit and opened it. Michael then returned the nod and slowly wandered past her, starting to unlock the doors of the visitor center. She closed her eyes for a time and smiled to herself, for even if she kept to the boring tours, she already had an amusing story. As she opened her eyes and looked to the mirror in the makeup kit, she froze for a second, then narrowed her focus and stared intently at it. Quickly her head turned to look at Michael, who was slowly wrangling some keys and had his back turned to her. She checked the reflection in the glass and all seemed normal, but when she turned her focus back to the makeup kit and held the mirror up, her eyes went wide. There, standing at the door, was a wolf-headed thing, slowly wrangling something. Its outline a haze as it started to unlock the doors before it turned to activate a radio on its shoulder. Andrea, this is Michael. Do you read me? Over. Yeah, Mikey, I hear you. Go ahead, over. Ran into a lass in trouble in the woods. Got her car to the visitor center. She's gonna crash here for the night. Name's Jennifer Woods, even. Over. Fitting name. Alright, I'll get her added to the notations and let the others know. Over. Sounds good. Heading back out momentarily. Over and out. Jennifer kept staring at the mirror and thing now looming behind her as it drew nearer. She had a mix of emotions on her face. The impossibility of it and the situation as a whole. The thing stood behind her and tilted its head. Lass, you're... Michael stopped talking as his eyes looked now directly at the mirror held up and saw his reflection. His true reflection. When you said a wolf was nearby, you really meant it, didn't you? She said, and then she slowly lowered the mirror and then looked at the ranger intently, who scowled some and furrowed his brow. A silver mirror. Not very common. Hard to plan for. Michael ran through the scenarios in his mind. The worst part was he had just called in her name and that she was present at the visitor center, and the cameras inside would show he was there with her. The timing was incredibly terrible. Clearly the work of spirits, no doubt in his mind. Well, lass, this presents a rather significant You're so... You look so cool! The woman's words stunned him for a moment, and he then traced his thinking right back to the earlier revelation of the evening. She was a weirdo through and through. Wolfmen are real! Wolfmen are real! Jennifer quickly brought the mirror up and looked at it again, staring at the wolf with red fur and blue eyes, now looking back at her with incredible annoyance. Yet she didn't seem to mind as she got up and stepped forward, even drawing a hand up to try and touch his face, which Michael stepped back from. Spirits grant me strength. He had no concept of how he would handle this situation now. What choices had he now been boxed into? As he took a deep breath and looked up at the night sky, he saw some spirit birds flying overhead and made a conscious choice that this was entirely their fault. Yeah. It's all your fault, birds. Fucking damn it. Yep. The spirits say, fuck you, while the spirit crow laughs and calls you idiot. Can you just imagine that? Caw! Caw! Baka. Oh, oh no. Yeah, so, again, as he gets brought up, actually, we can do that section too, real quick. So let's jump ahead, and we'll do this section again real quick too. And again, I've done this preview yesterday, but might as well. And that's what we're doing here today, right? Talking about the books, we're doing previews and everything like that, and we can talk about other stuff. Greeterlings. Excuse me. Michael let out a low growl as he hurried through the visitor center's lobby. The woman kept pace with him, the same smile still writ large on her face. At this moment, he just wanted some time to think through the situation, think through how best to remove this woman as a potential threat. Was it really necessary, though? Was all this truly set in motion by the spirits? How did her car even suffer the damage it had? These questions began circulating through his head as he opened the office doors and stepped inside. Yet Jennifer barged her way in right behind him. Why the silent treatment all of a sudden? I just want to know more. Michael frowned and looked at the cameras around the place, grateful that they didn't pick up audio. Even so, he had to at least pretend to be level-headed and not look aggressive. The camera footage suddenly going missing around her would be incredibly suspicious, and it took effort to get his position in the Rangers, even with the forestry departments being so heavily infiltrated by Wolverine and other shifters. Look, lass, you have me in an awkward position. I dinna really know ye. How can we possibly trust ye with no... So it is a we. There is more than just you? That is so cool. And what, you want to kill me just for knowing? Doesn't this seem silly? I am firmly on Team Wolf. You don't even know what Team Wolf stands for, lass. You're not thinking with your head, but with your lust. What if I were to go right this second and kill your family? Would you still be so charitable? Jennifer was about to make a snap answer, but then had to stop and think about it. Was her lust just carrying her away? The fact she was so eager to answer him certainly seemed to suggest that. Naturally, she would be horrified if he attacked her family. Shit, the Ranger was right again. Well, you may be correct, but I suppose look at it this way. I'm very willing and eager to listen to what the wolf side is. Does that not count for anything? He took a deep breath and closed his eyes as he began to think some more. It was true that she hadn't panicked or screamed. She hadn't even raised a fuss while the radio was active at all. If she had, that would have already cast the die towards disaster. Yet she not only remained calm, but was overly enthusiastic. So what if it was lustful thinking that kept her composure? At least she was a human that was willing to listen, even if she just wanted something carnal from him. Nay, lass, you're right. You're at least willing to listen, and that does count. So, I will give you a chance to do so. But just know up front, 'tis be an awkward spot to be in, and that has me anger welling up quick like. I understand. A part of you has been exposed you didn't wish to be. I am very much on the receiving end of that tonight, as well as you may remember. The man nodded his head some as he recalled the revelations about this woman's deviant tastes. I am certainly eager. Though you're right, it may be due to baser desires, but I want to listen and learn. I am incredibly curious. Could I be, you know... Look, lass, I'll answer truthful on that, but it not be the same thing. Ye could gain some ability like what me kind have, but it is nae the same. It is also exceptionally painful and cannot be undone. It won't give ye anywhere near what we can do, nor am I going to inflict that upon ye now. Jennifer's eyes were positively beaming. So there was a curse. But what did he mean it wasn't the same? Was she able to turn into a wolf? If so, that's all the benefit she needed to hear. It being painful was little obstacle to even the chance to live out a part of her fantasies. So what are the downsides? Michael looked at her for a moment, dumbstruck as to what to say. It is incredibly painful. You will writhe and scream in agony for hours. I'll get over that. What else? Lass, spirits give me strength. Let's move past that for now. I only meant to answer you truthful and I've done such. But you need to learn at least some of what we are and learn to be less open. Look, Mr. Wolf with one F. It is just you and me talking here. I'm not shouting it from the rooftops or calling all my friends and screaming wolfmen are real. I want to know as much as I can. Everything. Everything you're willing to share, that is. Michael frowned and tilted his head a little. His thoughts once more turned back and forth on if this was even a good idea or not. For now, though, he would give bits of information to test her along the way. It wasn't his plan to mentor some lowly human, but as he kept repeating to himself, this situation was clearly caused by some spirits, somehow, in some way. Clearly, the spirits are fucking with him, somehow. He doesn't know how yet, but he knows it's the fucking spirits. It has to be. Yes, Anti-Boy Scout, they do. That's part of it, because they are the cross between the species, so they can do it with humanoids, with their own species, Wolvarin, and wolves. Again, I couldn't come up with like a reason why they wouldn't be able to naturally breed that way as well. So, I just threw it in. It's the same thing in World of Darkness, where World of Darkness, the Gauru can mate with humans or with wolves. Spirits are asshats. Yes, they can be. Again, it's part of the whole thing is like, spirits are all individualistic. In fact, I can get to that preview real quick. Hold on. Yeah, or other Pharaoh. Pharaoh, they can breed with other Pharaoh in World of Darkness as well. And then that gets into a whole weird thing of like, will they make kinfolk or will they make true born? Like, if they make kinfolk, is a kinfolk of who? Like, what blood is in them? Other Pharaoh, like the Korax, for example, they can pick and choose what happens. They have to make what's known as a spirit egg. Anyways, let's do this one. When he stepped outside, he looked up at the moon above and grumbled a bit. Perhaps the lady herself was casting such craziness down around him. She was a thing of wild nature, switching her mood as she changed faces during the phases. No, it wasn't right that he was casting such aspersions on others. Life was chaotic and unpredictable. This was just another knot on the branch. Slowly, he brushed over his face and then took a deep breath before readjusting his cap. As he turned his eyes back to his pickup truck, he immediately frowned as he saw the bird sitting on the hood, lightly pecking at the windshield. Quickly, he approached and then gave a little sigh to get the bird's attention. This caused the avian to turn before a flash of light came from its beak, which made Michael grunt and raise a hand up to shield his eyes. Gah! You shouldn't sneak up on a bird! Very rude! Take it from that little display, you're one of her guiding lights. Oh, Brightbeak, that's my name, yes! Never would have guessed. Michael tilted his head and then looked at the avian beak, which glowed constantly, even when not using it as a distressing flashbang. So, to what do I owe the pleasure of a chat? She says trouble nearby. Dangerous, very dangerous. What kind of trouble? Big trouble, or else why would she tell me? Yes, very much trouble. And this trouble would be what exactly? Michael wanted to get the spirit to the point, but rushing them usually put one on the wrong footing. It was better to just speak calmly and let the spirit dictate the pace of the conversation. After all, if one were to get on a bad footing with a spirit, especially one that clearly worked with higher beings on the totem pole, it would spell disaster for future talks. Gossip amongst spirits was rampant, so best to humor the bird brain. Twisted ones nearby. Blessings of those below on them, very bad. Set up a trail to follow, not one with her light, nope, not at all. But got many things moving, many things. Guide you I shall, show you a secret kept. In the woods, but unknown to Wolverine. Almost missed it if not for her light. Where? I would appreciate your guidance, Brightbeak. Will show. She wants you to know. Important, she said. Very important. Don't know why, but she knows, so it must be true. There you go. There's a preview of an interaction with a spirit, and yes, that is Brightbeak, who I want to use for Cross as well. Which Cross always jokingly says, don't let him know that his name is obvious because his beak glows. Which then Brightbeak will get all flustered and peck at him some and be like, eh. Don't let him know. It's a bit obvious. Yeah, so, again, all the spirits are all different and everything, and Brightbeak he's very chatty, he's a little scatterbrained, but he's a very good guide, and so he uses light, aka the reflections that Luna gives to guide things, right? By the way, it is going to be Luna. I'm not going to do Sokta and Phoebe and all that stuff like that. No, that's definitely World of Darkness. But Luna it's too ubiquitous, right? Luna, the moon, it's too ubiquitous. Same thing with like Sol or Helios being the sun. It's ubiquitous. But I'm not going to do like all the other like subcategory names, stuff like that. That's all their setting and everything. Yeah, so of course, Brightbeak's first instinct, the moment he was startled, was he turned up the light and basically flashbanged Michael, and Michael's like, ah, fuck. One of the downsides of being Wolverine, you get to interact with spirits. It's a great upside because you can use spirit magics and everything and make contracts with them. But, man oh man, interacting with spirits. No, that's funny. Abysmal. I started running through in my head. Dayman, fighter of the night man. Oh, whoa. Dayman, champion of the sun. Oh my god. Holy shit. Yeah, so Luna is going to gift them their casts. Again, auspices. I'm taking auspices as well. And I need to, like I said, I need to do research on crescent moons and their associations throughout history. Like if they are a moon of portents and like mystery and we can just do that right now. Okay. So, crescent moons are associated with progress and new beginnings. Fertility and motherhood, protection. So, crescent moons, like the waning crescent. Sorry, the waning crescent is about release, rest, and healing. The waxing crescent is about growth, fertility, like renewal. Okay. What about... Hang on, I'm curious on gibbous. Growth, expansion, and refinement. Manifestation and expansion, action and refinement, opportunities and growth, deepening bonds. That's the waxing variant. The waning variant is release and letting go, reflection and introspection, spiritual work. I'm already going to keep the gibbous galliards. They're not going to be called galliards, obviously. I have to come up with my own name for them. But yeah, so we're keeping the auspices thing. We're going to keep the 5, or technically 7, because waning versus waxing as well on the crescent and the gibbous. But stuff like the half moon being the moon of balance and judgment, that makes sense, right? Half full, half empty, doesn't matter. It's half. So that makes sense to be the one of judgment and balance. The new moon being one of stealth, like darkness, sneakiness. Like, that, again, that makes sense. Full moon being the moon of rage, blood, and glory. The thing that, like, inspired lunacy as being an actual, like, medical diagnosis for a long time. The full moon represents the bunny. Nope. Full moon is all about, like, war and bloodshed and glory. But, as also gets mentioned in this, there are those that indulge too much in the moon, right? She's incredibly powerful, but don't indulge too much. It's all about, like, discipline. So, there was, of course, the deep connection between the Wolvaran and her, but those that indulged in her too much were rightfully known as lunatics. Yeah, so... Yeah, I can see the Crescent still keeping Theurge style, right? The healers, the tenders, those that bring people to rest for the the waning variant, especially the waxing variant being the ones to, like, bring new life, regrow, tend to the fields and stuff like that, tend to the flock. Yeah, I can see that. So yeah, they would be the more spiritual side. I can see that. Michael Wolf's D name, by the way, is Spirit Walker. The Harvest Moon represents my favorite video game. The January full moon represents my favorite moon, because it's literally called the Wolf Moon. For anyone that didn't know that. Hang on. I wonder if because see, each one of the full moons looks different. A full moon names. The Worm Moon. Ooh, I didn't know about that one. That's cool. I knew about the Buck Moon. I knew about the Strawberry Moon. the harvest moon, which I think looks really fucking cool. Hold on. There you go. This is the harvest moon. Again, I think it looks really fucking cool. Strawberry moon. So you've got the January wolf moon, February snow moon, the worm moon, the pink moon, which, again, pink moons are really fucking cool. They really are. The the sturgeon moon, the September full harvest moon, the hunter's moon, the beaver moon, and the December moon. And then, of course, you have blue moons, which are when they happen twice, and then the blood moon. Yeah, those that indulge too much in Luna, under the blood moon, shit gets wild. Which moons are the more rare? Oh, those get into the fucking some wild ones, like the solstice moons and things. Oh my, man, those, yeah. Hang on. Weirdly enough, Werewolf the Forsaken deals with this. Whoops. Spelling. See? These are the rare moons. They have the traditional 5 auspices, but they've been renamed, obviously. And then they have 4 additional rare auspices that are based off of each one. Right? This one's associated with the blood moon. This one's associated with a total solar eclipse. So every 18 months. And it only happens in a given location about once per 370 years. So very, very fucking rare moon to be under. Now, the thing I hate with what Werewolf the Forsaken and Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition does is they make it your auspice is dependent on the moon you transform under. I hate that. I really do. I much prefer that it's the moon you're born under, and that subtly influences your entire life. It's just a cool nod to a backstory, right? It helps you build and fill out a backstory. Yeah, the wolf moon. Right. As well. Just been talking. Boy. So my big thing now is I need to figure out what the 5 auspices should be. And I'm not gonna, again, they're not going to be called auspices, they're going to be called casts. But I need to figure out what the 5 are. Like, obviously one's going to be the warriors. And they will be represented by the wolf's teeth. Teeth. Teeth, teeth, teeth. Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah. So they will be the wolf's teeth are the warriors. The lore keepers, the battle bards, basically, will be the wolf's mouth. Because I think that makes sense, right? The wolf's brain will be the judges. So what would be the Philodox? They'll be the judges. Again, I need to come up with the actual name of it, but that's the wolf's brain. The wolf's eyes will be those under the crescent, aka what would be the theurges, but they'll be the like guides, the ones that help lead them spiritually. And then the ears will be of the new moon, the ones that listen out for information, the ones that help hunt and seek and track. Wolves use their ears a lot to help them track. It's also how they help coordinate themselves as well. Oh my goodness. Yep, take care, Pendacar. Yeah, no, there's all kinds of stuff like that. I like doing these book preview things while I write. I think it's fun. Yeah. And again, there's no Wolverine do not suffer the bane of silver, but those that are curse afflicted with Curse of the Wolverine do, because they are not true Wolverines. They are a humanoid that has been cursed with it. And like I said, they get only a little bit of the upside in that they have a small war form they can switch into, which is the werewolf. But they suffer the bane of silver. They can't contract with spirits. They have they aren't as just pick a wolfy language and translate the terms like warrior. I could do that for like Norse stuff. Norse had a lot of like stuff with wolves, so that could be a thing. But anyways, oh man, they might have already done that. I just thought something. The Werewolf of Forsaken might have already done that because of Father Fenrir. Hold on. I suddenly have a gut feeling. I need to know. Okay. Okay, they did not. All right. Yeah, so we'll do Drenger for okay, so Drenger Scald. Hang on. I have no idea why it says it's fucking World of Warcraft. That's fucking wild. Alright, so Drenger for warriors under the full moon. Scald the bards and the battle bards under the gibbous moon. Let's say Norse for judge. So, Domari for the judges, law keepers under the half moon. So not healer. Well, let's say maybe like, let's look at guide maybe? To show, to let know, or guide. Hmm. 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 I'm putting it in the Discord. You had to fight the cat extra this morning? That's a shame. Welcome, Mouse. We've been discussing everything. We were going through the different lore pieces. We talked about what the Black Spiral Dancer equivalent will be. Because there's no Triate. There's no Weaver, Worm, Wild. There is just the contracting with the spirits, and it's not inherently bad to contract with demonic entities if you're clever. But the demonic entities are obviously going to try to corrupt you. But you can use their own tools against them. But for those that do fall to the corruption or indulge in their sins, their like catch-all term for them are known as smilers. And that's just because of the like eerie thing with them is that they always tend to be like really happy and beaming, stuff like that, because they're indulging in their vices. And only when you've contracted with a bunch of the more darker entities do you start getting the corruptions and everything. But even just like being a part of the Smilers, you're already somebody that's like, ugh. Like, yeah, not a fan of you. And again, you can do that. You can 100% do that with demonic spirits and contract with them, but be very fucking careful. Because obviously, they're going to try to monkey's paw the shit out of you. Let's see. So I'm trying to think of, like, other things for Theurges. Not just healer. Or, like, Guardian, maybe? Warden, Watcher, Caretaker. So Voror. Voror. I don't know. It's too much Vor. I don't want to make that association. They already have the Smilers that believe in gluttony, so they become cannibalistic and shit. Protector Defender doesn't work. So Show Guide? Or wait. Maybe Priest? So Godi. Or maybe we'll do Gothi. Yeah, Gothi. Okay. Well, we'll keep Gothi in mind. Let's see what Druid is. If there is a difference. There isn't a direct Norse word equivalent for Druid. Get fucked. Okay. No, so Gothi it is. For the show guides under the crescent moon. And then maybe Trickster or like Spy, maybe. So maybe Skigna. Ooh, no, there's a better one. Noun can refer to the act of spying, scouting, or looking out, and can also refer to news. Nyosen. For the scouts and spies under the new moon. Okay, there we go. I put in the Discord. Drengar for the warriors, Skald for the battle bards, Domari for the judges and lawkeepers. Lawkeeps. Whoops. Lawkeeps. Lawkeeps. Lawkeepers. Gothi for the spiritual guides under, and then Nyosen for the scouts and spies. There we go. Those will be our casts. Lawkeeps. Lawkeeps. Yep. Mm-hmm. I like it. No, those would be much more likely to be the Skalds. Let's be honest. Propagandists. Yep. Again, you can have, like, you gotta remember, the Smiler variant of these, they're gonna be the same things, but they'll have that stuff twisted to a darker purpose, right? Also, I am gonna have the Rikoa equivalent, which are known as the Selichin. They are going to have auspices as well, because the Wolvarin and the Selichin are the two that are most closely associated with the moon. And the reason the Selichin are is because it's the tides, right? Luna literally has command of the tides. Therefore, the shifters of the seas are going to be closely associated with Luna. Also, this actually fits really well because we can say that when Meraxes was helping to codify what the Wolvarin were, or what the Wolvarin are, I should say, he could have paid homage to Nidhogg, who was a player from the guild that got left behind, right? That didn't come with them. And his hero that he created was known as Yorman. Oh, let's do a preview from His Majesty the Dragon, shall we? Page 201. His feet felt wet, and he could hear the sloshing of water as he walked. He couldn't smell anything or see into the fog that formed around him, yet onwards he marched to the water and towards the chanting. His tail splashing the water from side to side as it hung low enough to sink under the surface. The chanting got louder and louder, and the fog seemed to be slowly thinning out, his large feet finding soft and drier purchase as he came up out of the water and stood in a haze, trying to focus on what was in front of him. There, standing atop a dais at the center of the gathering, was a large reptile with horns and talons. The being also glowed and was standing there, staring back at him in awe. The lizard quickly descended the dais and rushed over to Meraxus, looking into his eyes as he grabbed at his arms and let out quick, excited breaths. "You're here, my king!" At the lizard's words, the others all around began to bow their head and kneel out of respect, but Meraxus just stood there and tried to make out the face of the lizard before him. "Who are Hexathus?" His speech was slurred and his breathing came out of shallow as he lurched some. "Yes, Meraxus, I'm here. No one has ever made it here like this before. This is truly a momentous day." "Where is here?" "You're in my divine realm. The great plains, swamps dotted around, rolling hills as far as the eye can see, forests and a desert that stretches to the horizon. The feel of grass crushing underfoot as you run beneath the great trees and take shelter from the warm rains." Meraxus looked around himself, his breathing steadying as he tried to comprehend what he heard. His brain had long since stopped hurting, but it didn't mean all his faculties were returned. All around him, little lizards and snakes approached and looked up at him in awe. "These are my hosts. Those that crawl and climb, slither and swim. This is the final resting place for all those reptiles that have grown tired." Meraxus took in a deep breath and looked down to Hexathus' face, the obvious question crossing his mind. Hexathus then shook his head fervently and smiled. "No, your place is not here. I was unsure, yet hopeful when the great storms raged over my realm, and then in the distance I saw a glorious range of mountains form." Hexathus then carefully took Meraxus by the hand and slowly turned, guiding him along. The various lizards, snakes, alligators, crocodiles, monitors, and even wyverns all followed with them, and several voices began to rise up. Hexathus began to slow and looked up at the great mountains. Rivers began to form, flowing down their sides, carving valleys and drawing up forests that carefully grew. Yet it was when Meraxus stepped onto the crest of a lowland hill that the mountain began to shift and churn. A great staircase started to form, and the Dragon King left the god's side. Hexathus hesitated and began to follow in behind him, taking the steps up. The sky itself began to part and left in its wake a field of stars that shone over both the mountains and Hexathus plains. In that night sky, up above the tallest mountains, there was a star that shone brighter than any other. A guiding light for all those looking for their way in the darkness. Yet he hesitated as he came to the first dens and layers along the slopes of the mountains. Hexathus didn't want to say anything, for what could he say? He hadn't experienced the same thing as the Dragon King, and his words would do little to ease this new burden. Meraxus slowly lowered his head and entered into the nesting ground, traveling back towards the end of the cave before he stood before his current fear. There, laying on the ground, yet to wake from his slumber, was a dark red dragon with black stripes. There you go. There's another preview of it. And that's obviously after Meraxus has passed his harrowing. So now he is fully ascended into a divine being. Right. And like I said, this is all connected through. This is all part of the Sakara multiverse thing. All of it's connected back through. All of the webs are there. The Wolverine directly work for Meraxis. Or rather, Meraxis has gifted all of the Wolverine with the Wrath. Because he doesn't want them to be idle. Right? He doesn't want them to be lazy. He doesn't want them to become weak. So he gifted them with a thing that they have to work at, that they have to use discipline to maintain. Or, not so much maintain, but more like keep themselves, right? Okay. There you go. Yeah, I had to make sure that, like, World of Darkness didn't have those taken either, because the moment I was like, oh no! Oh no! Let's see where they got their names from. Raka. Looks like it's an entirely... Yeah. No, it's entirely of a creation by the, by Werewolf the Forsaken. Okay. Neat. Neat. Alright. Rahoo! Think you need to flesh out more of the Pantheon, though? Oh, no. I do not. Trust me. There are hundreds and hundreds of gods. I don't need to flesh them out more. Holy fuck, I do not need to do that. No. My god, we've already gotten through... Like, there are so many fucking gods. Not just with Hexathus being the god of reptiles and everything, but we have Olander, the god of oaths, the god of oaths, duty and honor. We have Sangris, the god of justice, Missandra, who is the goddess of the hunt. Like, holy fuck. I do not need to flesh out the Pantheon more. No, the Pantheon is fucking full. Even with Sangris and Missandra now fucking dead. Link a wiki? Oh. I really should make it. Like, maybe I should use, like... What is it? World Anvil, and start just filling in all the information of different gods and stuff, right? Like, holy fuck, I do not. There are so many of them. But again, like we talked about it before, I know I've talked about this in the past. How was Sangris, the god of justice, such an evil prick? Right? Whereas Olander, the god of duty, honor, and oaths, was not. And how was Sangris able to abuse Olander? Well, it's because justice is very fluid. Nobody has the exact same definition of justice. Justice is usually dictated by the strong. To one king, it is just to tear out the tongue of anybody that speaks ill of them. To another king, justice is only meted out at the end of a blade, can you prove in the face of the gods that you are speaking truthful? Well, hopefully you can fight my champion then and win. So in that way, Sangris was much more fluid and much more like malleable in his beliefs of what justice was. It's how he could be such a manipulative, scheming little shit. Meanwhile, Olander, to give your word is to keep your word. So he was very exacting. An oath is an oath. Nobody has a different interpretation of what an oath is. If you say, I swear to defend you and your lands, it means you will defend me and my lands. Right? So that's how Sangris was able to trick Olander through naivete, because Olander believed justice were on the same side, right? So when Olander made an oath to Sangris, the contract was signed and sealed. Olander cannot break an oath. But now that Sangris is fucking dead, you don't have to give a shit about that. I actually have that here. Hold on a second. Hold on. I know I have that here. Let's find the chapter, shall we? It's not Safe Harbor. Is it First of Many? Maybe Stalemate? Let's see. Well, here's a section of it we can talk about. Things had slowed to a crawl for a year from the fateful meeting at Everwood. The initial haste of the Lagerall attacks had given way to a more cautious conflict, involving multiple smaller skirmishes and posturing. Drakor was no longer seen as a nuisance that could be dealt with in short order, and thus the turmoil had slowed to a crawl. The most effective force against the Kingdom of Drakor were the Ravenheart, who would launch coordinated attacks and then quickly retreat back, going quiet for weeks or months. Deverick had managed to bait a trap and killed off a few of the Ravens, but the struggle was still ongoing, to the point that Meraxes was threatening to get directly involved. This had been a worry for many of the kingdoms that were looking to Lagerall, who was currently suffering under the direct machinations of the Dragon King. Dozens of wolf-like men were prowling the countryside, entire villages disappearing with naught but blood, fur, and burnt homes left behind. Entire fields of grain and vegetables were razed, with the peasant population rapidly starving while the local lords could do nothing to prevent the growing disaster. Bridges, roads, and anything that could be used for transportation were targeted and destroyed. It was a type of warfare that none of the kingdoms had ever seen, let alone be capable of pulling off. The small folk began abandoning their villages and fleeing, some drowning as they attempted to ford the rivers, choosing to live life in Stallis to the west, or even the hated Garradin to the east. Anything was better than waiting to starve or be set upon by the dreaded wolfmen of night. This caused a chain reaction amongst the people of Lagerall, with prices on basic foods skyrocketing, nobles starting to hoard resources out of fear, and unrest rapidly rising throughout the kingdom. Several of the villages and even a town were in open talks of abandoning Lagerall and seeking forgiveness from Drakor. This didn't even include the fact that nobles had to gather up coin and goods to buy the freedom of Count Stormwind and the other noble knights of his entourage. The added strain was putting the kingdom to its breaking point. That scale would soon collapse from an unlikely source. Cults began arising as ritualistic murders began spreading throughout the countryside. The remaining temples had urged the king with great haste to seek some agreement from Drakor, as the horrors below were rising to the surface. Yet it had been too late, as a horrific bull had been sighted tearing through the town of Bezervin. feasting on the residents, leaving incoherent stories of tragedy. King Fereth Hadron rallied his own personal guard and ordered the banners flown to gather all forces he could to do battle with the bull creature. The people of Lagerall had to see that their king was willing to protect them, even in their darkest hour. I like that as a brief thing of like how Meraxes conducts war, because he has air superiority. He has fucking dragons. He is a fucking dragon. He's going to use dragons in his wars. So he is going to conduct a level of warfare and a scale of misery and destruction that no one has ever seen before. Also because he's fucking pissed after the gods fall. Right? Which is the name of the battle where Sangris and his lover die. It's when the skies turn into a bloody storm, a literal bloody storm, raging storms all across the world of just constant lightning and blood downpours everywhere, as bodies of the angelic host, the divine hosts of both of the realms, the realm of justice and the realm of the hunt, start falling from the sky. The one from the hunt are the more eerie, because they start falling from the sky and then they snap and hold into position, because Meraxes hanged her. He didn't just kill her the way he did with Sangris. He tortured her and he hanged her. Again, he was not in the mood when that battle took place. I want to see if I can find Olander, because here's where Olander comes in. He comes in here at the Battle of Bezervin. Let's just do this whole thing here. Let's do this whole thing here as a preview as well. Yeah, we'll continue. The war host rode hard for Bezervin, only stopping a short ride out of the town to gather their strength and prepare to do battle with the abomination. Take care, Upar. The beast stood well over 5 men in height. Its hide looked blistered and bruised, and it walked upright as if mimicking a man. Its eyes wept a constant stream of bloody ichor that was foul to the senses. Its muscles could be seen tearing through the very skin in places, and it stood in unabashed nudity as if horrific jest at the very concept of luridness. It was the stuff of nightmares, long recorded on ancient parchments, scrolls, and dust-caked tomes forgotten about in religious archives. It was merely a lesser demon, not one of the great architects or fell gods of the infernos below, and yet such mercy was lost on those that had to directly face it. Had the old ways not been long since forgotten, they would have recognized that the beast only had size and strength, but was slow of both reaction and intelligence, acting as a siege unit for demonic hosts. None of that comforted the men watching it lift another woman to its mouth as it began to chomp down on her. While an impossibility given the distance, many of them could swear they heard the crunching of bones and her blood-curdling scream that put to test all of their courage. King Fereth raised his banner and let loose a cry. "To me! Rally to me! Men of Lagerall, we must protect the people. Draw your swords, raise your shields, let loose the fury of the kingdom on that wild beast." A cry for vengeance rose up amongst the ranks of the troops as they formed into their units and began the march towards the demonic bullman. It was to be bloody work, but they would prove themselves, not just to themselves, but to the people of the kingdom. This time of hardship would end. A new spring would rise and their kingdom would thrive again. Hope would carry their weight and give their muscles strength, the need to stand on their own 2 feet again instead of cowering before a rival nation, burned like the very depths of the inferno in each of them. This would be their moment to prove that while Lagerall had lost the initial fight to Jakor, they could still rally and show their strength once again. These were the delusions of men, and it was not meant to be. As Lagerall charged to death and glory, the very sun was blocked from the sky, and the charge turned into a slowly meandering thing, like a great predator realizing its prey was far worse. Not a single eye was left on the horrific bullman. All attention and gaze had turned skyward to stare at a great black dragon with red under scales and a shimmering crown between his horns. None on the ground could hear the words he was saying, nor see the intricate gestures he was performing with his fingers. What could not be missed, nor even ignored, was the large circle that started to etch itself into the air right in front of the Dragon King. It glowed with a golden hue, and around it were various symbols, ones that would be familiar to those who studied magecraft. Then with a single touch of his scaled hand, the circle tightened around itself, and a series of chains dropped down from a central focus point, shifting through the air as if serpents. The golden snakes quickly bit into the bullman's limbs before yanking it violently into the air, each shackle locking tight as the bull let out a wail of pain. While it came shooting into the sky, Meraxus shifted his body and forced the focal point to turn, swinging the bullman to the side and then quickly dispelling the chains. The brute was thrown outside the town, though the Dragon King had wished his aim was better, as the beast slammed to the ground first, splattering its decrepit blood and gore along the ground before sliding into the lake, where Masters Raxus and Quitiki were waiting. The imbued water burned the beast away, every trace of its being obliterated. Quitiki recognized the problem with the splattered gore and quickly cast a spell to lift a large portion of the enchanted water and drench the area the bullman had hit. The vile demonic blood was trying to seep into the ground, and even started blistering the grass, but the water soon doused the corruption and left spots of barren dirt behind. Meraxus breathed a sigh of relief, grateful that Quitiki had been so quick in understanding the issue. Internally, he had no choice but to berate himself for trying to show off. After all, there was no need to toss the abomination when he could have just dragged it over and dunked it. Yet he couldn't help but showboat a little before the combined forces of Lagerall's royal host and to highlight his power before the eyes of an enemy king. It hadn't been planned, after all, if demonic forces took root in the world, it would be dangerous for the kingdom of Jakor as well, but this was a golden opportunity. He also had to concede that only the Mastards needs know of his showboating, and he would thank them for their quick response to his slip-up. For now, though, there was a king to meet with, and attempt to bring about a resolution to the one conflict he was engaged in. He only had open hostilities with Lagerall, but it was obvious to everyone that none of the 5 kingdoms were particularly thrilled with Jakor. If he could take Lagerall out of the fight completely, then he could also isolate Stallis and deal with the Ravenheart more effectively. It would all come down to how Lagerall would fall, with a bent knee or a royal head rolling from a chopping block. If he had a preference, it would have been the former. Either way, he had plans for the new territory they were already set to gain. With a nod of his head towards King Hatteran, Meraxus began to fly down towards him along with Raxus and Quitiki, both in their true forms as well to add an extra level of intimidation. The 3 dragons then came to land before the army of King Hatteran, with Meraxus stepping forward and slowly took a seat as he looked over the soldiers with a scowl. I would stand on matters of decorum and order, but I simply do not feel like it. Present your liege so that I may converse with him. One of the sergeants stepped forward and swiped a mace towards Meraxus before speaking. Who are you to give commands, especially of a king? Meraxus looked at him almost dumbstruck, his eyes going wide and his head tilting to the side some, before he turned to look at Quiteki. The latter gave a shrug before the king turned to look at Raxus. I swore I was wearing the crown of starry skies. It's rather obvious who I am, is it not? It is indeed, your divine majesty. He then turned his head to look at the sergeant and then tilted it some before he spoke up again. Bring your king forth, now. A tense silence held over the field before a few royal guards tapped the soldiers to move them out of the way. A path was made and King Fereth Hatteran walked in full combat plate up towards the front, but remained behind the royal guard and kept his helmet firmly in place. Come now, if I had an intention to wipe you out, do you think a helmet and your guards would stop me? I want to see the face of my enemy. King Hatteran hesitated a moment. Even without sight, it was clear he was tense and mulling things over before he undid the guard around his neck and lifted the helmet from his head, drawing it up and under his left arm as he scowled. I would expect a lot when it comes to a tyrant. Tyrant? You of all people have the audacity to call me a tyrant? You who attacked my people unprovoked? How dare you? How dare you? Meraxus began to shiver, the glow of his eyes getting brighter for a time before he took a deep breath and began to quell the feelings of anger coursing through his body. Yet the sensations didn't cease entirely, and as he spoke he could tell the distortion in his voice had come through once again. Little Hagen King, how grateful your people must be that you brought such ruin to them. How they must view you as so magnanimous for all the suffering you have set them. A just price to pay for doing a god's dirty work. Fenrith tried his best to keep his composure, but the booming voice made him quake even before his mind processed the words that were being said. A price must be paid for the suffering you have caused, dear king. A toll paid in blood and pain for your actions, carved into the heart of every man, woman, and child of your kingdom. I had thought the lesson learned, but clearly you are not content with losing half your kingdom. Oh yes, dear King Hatteran, already half of your kingdom will now be mine as recompense for the death of my people. Perhaps having you kneel and accept your place was too good for you. Meraxus took a step forward and his breathing got heavier as he could feel the sweet temptations of rage filling his mind. He quickly began to repeat to himself in quick succession. Rage must be fought against. Rage cannot take hold. He slowed his breathing more, and yet it was not his own actions that broke the tension, but a divine glow emanated from the sky and touched the ground between the two kings. From the glow stepped a large being, near double the size of the King Hadron, in full plate armor and wielding a greatsword. The tip touched the ground as the armored figure kept its hands folded on the pommel. The armor was also damaged, dented and defaced, while a soft breathing could be heard from the armor itself. Divine King Meraxus, I ask you please maintain your level head. There is no need for wrath here. A sensation of awe filled the hearts of each man present, some of which took a knee and lowered their heads before the presence of their god. This is not a matter for you, little godling. Your kind have done enough and are not welcome in such talks between nations and their kings. A god is here speaking to a mortal. Would that not make this an affair of the divines now? Had it been the Duke or even the Masters, there would be no interference from me. Meraxus let out a low growl and furrowed his brow while his teeth were bared. It was clear there was a great amount of frustration and anger boiling up to the surface, but then a thought struck him, and his face twisted into a smile. I understand. Perhaps you would be so bold as to introduce yourself. I am Olander, god of duty, the oath, and honor. Meraxus nearly let out a laugh at that, barely able to stifle it past his scaled hand covering his mouth. Olander, for his part, did not shift position beyond the slight lowering of his head. Oh, this is far better than I could have imagined it. Tell me, Olander, god of honor, what was so honorable about letting the petty tyrant kill a father mourning a murdered child? What was so honorable about a mandate of heaven to kill and butcher an entire species? Where was your honor while the damned hypocrite Sangris put the innocent to his sword? Olander tensed up, the hollow armor resounding a steady breathing as the helmet lowered further. I swore that I would stand aside when he asked it of me. Ha! A fool's oath! How marvelous! You should not take such oaths so lightly, Dragon King. King Hatteran was doing his best to regain composure and use the presence of Olander to bolster his resolve and try to blunt the venomous words brewing in Merax's jaw. I take oaths very seriously, little Hagen King. Olander here knows what I am about to do and ask. What I am curious about is how much you know about the gods. Tell me, do you know why the gods started their crusade of my race? Olander lowered his head more, the breathing still regular, yet Merax could tell that he was in dour spirits and was bracing himself for what was to come. That is the business of the gods and not mortals. Oh? Are you not a king? Do you not have the mandate of the heavens for your leadership? Or is it through strength of character that you maintain your throne? Either way, perhaps you should learn something about these godlings. Olander, I will hold you to your honor on this. Let us see if you are as much a hypocrite as the others, shall we? Meraxus then stepped up closer to Olander and placed a pseudo-hand on his shoulder before turning him to face King Hatteran. Did you know, dear little Hagen King, that the gods are far lesser than you would believe? Why, they themselves found this out the hard way, when one of their number decided to play a cruel joke on my kind. Long before your time, there was a goddess of tricks and deceit, who delighted in farce and mummery, yet her last trick cost the life of an unhatched dragon, taken right before the father's eyes. In righteous wrath, the father took the life of this goddess. And how did the god of justice respond to an act of overt justice? He attempted to murder the father and protect the murderer of his child. The gods were afraid. They had been shown they are just as mortal as you. They had shown them just as mortal as you are, and they could not allow that. So damn to all principles of honor, character, and domain. They must destroy that threat. Isn't that right, little Olander? Meraxus shook Olander as his eyes turned to face the hollow suit of armor, the shoulders slumping forward, and his breathing was no longer as steady. It was. Now, Olander, even if this is just a projection, I am sure you understand that I will rend your very soul just as I did to the other two godlings. No weaseling away from this one, even if you try to hide in your divine realm. I will come and find you. The Dragon King let out a grin as it was a show of force to try and ensure Olander complied and spoke truly. There was the faint hope that this god would be more like Hexathus, an unwilling and weary god. Olander turned to look at Meraxus, a general sense of sorrow filling him. He speaks the truth. Sangris demanded that the threat be dealt with immediately for the safety of all the gods. Even I had to obey. King Hatteran frowned as he looked at Meraxus and then shook his head. Would you not do the same to a threat to your existence, or to that of your people? Meraxus turned to look at King Hatteran, that dumbstruck expression coming back across his face before he let out a laugh. Well, at least you understand a part of what you just heard. The gods you worship and hold in such high regard are far lesser than they would have you believe, ready to abandon all principles at first sign of any disadvantage. How utterly pathetic. As for you, Olander, I believe we should have a chat, don't you? As for The pair began to turn away before Meraxus suddenly turned back around. "Oh, little King Hadron, for you I have a proposition. If you wish to help your people, or if self-interest is more to your liking, wish to have your bloodline continue, then swear fealty to me. Bend the knee. You will become a vassal of my kingdom and answer directly to Archduke Dagrix. Half of your kingdom is already mine. Of that you have no say in the matter. Make your choice now." It was one thing to be so humiliated and humbled as a man. It was another to feel that as a king, men meant to lead their nation to greatness and defend their lands. Anger bade him cry out and draw his sword, one last defiant show of strength against the dragon. Reason, though, far more insidious and prone to cowardice, noted that even the god Olander seemed to be compliant with the Dragon King. Would it do to throw his entire family away to soothe his own ego and enshrine his place in history? "King Meraxus, may I make a suggestion? I would swear an oath to you that so long as you protect the people of Lagerol, I will swear fealty to you much as Hexathus did." Oh my god. Ugh. My throat is getting dry. "Interesting. So you know of Hexathus, then? Also, I cannot make such a vague promise. After all, I could take the oath and someone is murdered immediately after. Would that not invalidate it?" "Then let it be to the best of your capabilities." "I cannot accept that either. I have a counteroffer in mind, but I wish to hear more about the help you offered to the divine hypocrite." "Very well. As part of my oath, I swore that Sangris could call upon me for anything, as I had judged the god of justice a righteous sort." "Are you sure you aren't the god of fools, of naivete, of wishful fancies?" I understand now how mistaken I was. He did not hold to his station as readily as I hold mine. His ideals of justice were far more flexible than I thought. I cannot break an oath. "So you slaughtered the innocent and the undeserving. Not much honor in doing black knife work, is there?" Olander reached a gauntleted hand up and brushed it across the tarnished surface of his armor. "It has left its mark on me." Meraxus scowled and looked over the armor before he scoffed and squeezed his arm tighter on Olander's shoulder. "Not enough of one, by my reckoning." "Dragon King, please wait. I have a proposal in turn for you." Meraxus' fury swelled and he turned to glare at King Hadron, his eyes starting to blaze and one of his clawed talons drawing up to come dangerously close to the king's face. The man flinched back a little, but he steadied himself, prepared for his fate. "I understand my position, but I will still make my proposal. I do not need an oath held in favor by the divines, just an oath from one king to another. I will yield my autonomy and bend my knee to you if you protect what is left of Lagerol. We are not a kingdom of the meek and have made enemies of our neighbors, especially Garridan, and thus, in our weak state, they shall come calling. Protect the people from my hubris. Winter's chill will soon be felt across the land, and your kingdom has made sure to destroy as much farm yield and transportation capabilities as possible. I do not wish death upon us all." "Amazing. You could understand that, but not the matter of the fickle and feeble nature of your gods." Meraxus shifted back onto his haunches and idly rubbed at the side of his snout with a finger. A soft murmuring came from his chest as he thought for a moment and then pointed his finger once more to the human king. "Your statement also shows the lack of understanding of my purpose in this world. I am not here to exterminate anyone, but to render judgment on the gods themselves. That is the path I have chosen to take. Your kingdom has paid the price for your unprovoked invasion of our lands and the killing of our people. I had told you that your people would be helped if you bent the knee and swore fealty to me. That was not a manner of idle conversation. Lagerol will become a vassal state of Drakor, and thus a part of my horde. It is not merely a matter of sentimentality that your people will be defended, but as a direct extension of my property. I will see it prosper, for it will reflect well upon me. As for your legal rights and standings, you shall remain as king to be direct go-between of your people and my beloved Archduke. You will answer his call and obey his commands as if they were my own, and you can lay grievances to him, and he shall make me aware of them. Yet the laws of your land will change to the laws of my land, and you shall take no action that I do not expressly wish you to take. To those terms I accept. I, King Fereth Harridan, do swear leal service to divine king. Fereth hesitated, and this made the Dragon King let out a soft chuckle. Meraxus. I am King Meraxus, God and King of Dragons, ruler of Jakor. There you go, chat. Very long preview for you. Very long preview, but I felt it was appropriate. Right? There you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Meanwhile, now I must depart because there's a Kurtosis video that's on. Oh no. Kree's doing a video. Yeah. I will let you all go now. Go and do no more wickedness. Here we fucking. But yeah. So in the meantime, chat, hopefully you take care. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe and healthy. Get fit, get ripped. And I will see you back here tomorrow. Yeah. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed that preview of it. I hope you guys enjoyed. It was a long preview for sure. But I think it was fitting because it kind of shows what kind of person Meraxus is, right? The Young Republic. Monarchs are wacky. Oh man, wait till you hear how he rules his kingdom. There's a reason his laws are very strange in comparison. Because he's more like the Federation from Starship Troopers. Where to gain power, you have to give service to the state. Right? It's you showing that you are willing to stand up and take responsibilities. It fits in with his whole idea of the trifecta. Democracies allow the weak and pathetic to vote, right? And this leads into, really skewed senses of priority and manipulations. If you want to vote, you need to earn the right to vote. You must prove that you are willing to stand up, to not be merely sheep, to not be weak chattel. You need to prove you will stand up, you will give service, you will take on the responsibility for yourself. Therefore, you are responsible for your vote. You can be trusted to be responsible. So yeah. Essentially, he was naked with all the bits and the family jewels hanging out Deus Vult. Again, the demonic is more of an assault, an affront, and assailing on the senses. Part of that is that they're not timid. There's no, timidity. There's no chaste. They are what they are. And being that sort of, that lewd is part of the demonic. It's having no shame. No sense of decorum. Yeah. Yeah, anyways. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. And yeah, I can go more into more Like, I can go more into how the Kingdom of Jakor actually operates and functions. Again, he is very much like, because he has a golden opportunity. There was no nobility except for himself. So he had a way to change things. People could rise up in their station through their acts and actions. They no longer had to be only through warfare could you become knighted and therefore gain land and slowly work your way into the nobility, right? That was no longer the case in this system. Now, through your direct service, through your proof of being dedicated to the kingdom, you could gain status because you were willing to take on more responsibilities for yourself. So, Meraxus will always be the king. He gets final say in everything. The nobles will have their areas where they get final say in, but the people will get to dictate the governance. Will get to dictate who are the burgomeisters, who are the mayors, who are their elders leading the towns. And those people will have had to have given service to hold those positions. Those people therefore now have status within the courts. They are chosen. They can run for the office of governance. They can run for the office of burgomeister. They can run for the office of being an elder. And they now get to hold actual power within the courts itself. Yeah. Anyways, chat. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye. I mean, I can go into, like, all this. Like, this is... Trust me, this has been a project for a long time, and there's a lot of depth to all of this. Which I'm grateful for. I'm biased. But hopefully you guys can see the depth that's been put into it, right? Yeah. Bye-bye.